Captain James Walker stood at the bridge of the Earth defense ship Peacekeeper*, watching the alien mining fleet approach Jupiter's orbit. His hands were steady on the command console, but his heart beat faster with each passing moment. This was humanity's first contact with an alien civilization, and it wasn't going as anyone had expected. The alien ships were massive, each one nearly the size of Manhattan, and their dark metal hulls sparkled with strange blue energy patterns. They had appeared suddenly, dropping out of faster-than-light travel right at the edge of Jupiter's orbital path. There were 15 of them in total, all clearly equipped with mining gear that made Earth's best equipment look like children's toys. "Sir," said Lieutenant Tom Green from the communication station, "they're broadcasting again." "Same message as before." Walker nodded. The aliens' message had been simple and blunt. This system's gas giant is now claimed for mining by the Greater Resource Federation. Lesser species will withdraw immediately or face removal. The bridge crew watched Walker, waiting for his response. Earth's scientists had predicted first contact might happen soon, but nobody had expected aliens to simply show up and try to take Jupiter. The standard first contact protocols hadn't covered this situation. "Send our response again," Walker ordered, keeping his voice calm. "Make sure the translation is clear." Green pressed a few buttons on his console. Their message was just as simple. "We welcome peaceful contact and invite your representatives to diplomatic discussions regarding shared resource use." The alien ships stopped moving. Walker could almost feel their confusion. According to their sensors, the alien crews were communicating frantically among themselves. "Sir," Green said, "they're responding. But I think something's wrong with the translation." Walker walked over to the communication station. The alien message read, "Error. Context unclear. Query. Is this submission or combat challenge?" "Send it again," Walker said. "Add that we are neither submitting nor challenging. We wish to negotiate terms beneficial to both parties." The silence that followed lasted nearly 5 minutes. Walker used this time to study the alien ships more carefully. Their weapons were obvious, huge energy cannons that could probably tear the Peacekeeper* apart. But they weren't powering them up. Instead, the aliens seemed to be having some kind of debate among themselves. "New message incoming," Green announced. "Text only." The message appeared on the main screen. "Concept negotiation does not apply to lesser species. Choose, submit or fight." Walker smiled. This was actually good news. The aliens could be confused, but at least they were communicating. "Send this," he said. "We reject both options and continue to request diplomatic talks. Earth has extensive experience in creating mutually beneficial agreements between different cultures." The alien ships began moving again, but not in an attack pattern. Instead, they seemed to be forming a circle, as if for some kind of conference. Their next message came after 20 minutes of silence. "Warning. Your species displays dangerous deviation from normal patterns. You possess insufficient technology for equality. You must submit or fight. There are no other options." Walker turned to his crew. "Well, looks like we've completely confused them. Good job, everyone." He straightened his uniform. "Send this message. We understand this situation is unusual, but humanity specializes in finding new options. We have prepared detailed proposals for resource sharing that would benefit both our species. We will wait while you consult with your leadership." The alien ships had stopped moving entirely. Their energy patterns were flickering in what looked like complete confusion. Walker's crew watched in amazement as the massive fleet seemed to have no idea how to handle simple diplomatic communication. "Sir," Green said, fighting back a grin, "they're sending a new message. They're requesting connection to their central command for unprecedented situation consultation. I think we broke their protocols." Walker sat back in his command chair, allowing himself a small smile. First contact was going to be interesting indeed. "Well," he said, "let's give them time to adjust. Maintain position and keep channels open. Something tells me we're about to teach our new friends about humanity's most powerful weapon, the art of negotiation. 3 days after the first contact, Ambassador Kate Miller walked into the newly prepared conference room aboard the International Space Station. The room had been quickly modified to accommodate both human and alien representatives. One side had standard chairs and tables, while the other had strange, cushioned platforms that the aliens had requested. Miller carried a tablet containing Earth's proposals, and she wore her best diplomatic uniform. The staff had worked through 3 sleepless nights to prepare everything. This would be humanity's first face-to-face meeting with an alien species, and they intended to make it count. "They're ready to board," said Jack Thompson, her assistant, checking his communication device. "The alien delegation includes their fleet commander and 3 others." Miller nodded, straightening her jacket. "Remember everyone, stay calm and friendly. No sudden movements." The airlock door opened with a soft hiss. 4 tall figures ducked through the entrance. The aliens were impressive, each standing nearly 8 feet tall, with smooth blue-tinted skin and 4 arms. Their leader, who had identified himself as Commander Bluestone, wore some kind of shimmering ceremonial armor. "Welcome aboard the International Space Station," Miller said, bowing slightly. "We're honored to host this historic meeting." The aliens stared at her, their large eyes blinking in confusion. Bluestone stepped forward, his translator device humming. "This behavior continues to confuse. Your species has inferior technology. You should fear us." Miller smiled warmly. "Different technological levels don't prevent meaningful dialogue. Please, sit down. We have prepared detailed proposals for mutual cooperation." The aliens looked at each other before carefully settling onto their cushioned platforms. Miller noticed they kept touching their weapons, not threateningly, but as if reassuring themselves. "We have studied your species while waiting," Bluestone said. "You spend much time talking when you could fight. This makes no sense. Strong takes what strong wants." Miller opened her presentation on the large screen behind her. "Actually, that's something I'd like to discuss. Human history has taught us that cooperation often produces better results than conflict. Look at these economic projections." The screen filled with graphs and charts showing potential profits from joint mining operations. The aliens leaned forward, their expressions unreadable, but their attention clearly caught. "These numbers," one of the other aliens said, "they show both sides gaining." "Exactly," Miller replied. "By combining your advanced mining technology with our extensive experience in Jovian operations, we could extract 30% more resources than either of us working alone." Bluestone's translator crackled as he spoke quickly to his companions. They seemed agitated, but not angry. Finally, he turned back to Miller. "In all our travels, no lesser species has shown us numbers. They only show weapons or surrender." "Then perhaps it's time for a new approach," Miller said. She gestured to her assistant, who distributed data tablets to each alien. "These contain our complete proposal, including safety protocols, profit-sharing arrangements, and environmental protection measures." The aliens handled the tablets with surprising delicacy. "You prepared all this," Bluestone said, "instead of preparing for war." "We prepared for every possibility," Miller replied. "But we believe that intelligent species could find common ground." Was that belief mistaken? The aliens conferred again, their voices low. Miller waited patiently, maintaining her diplomatic smile. Finally, Bluestone spoke again. "We must report this to Central Command. Never has lesser species offered partnership." He stood up, towering over the humans. "You are either most clever or most foolish species we have met. We cannot yet decide which." Miller stood as well. "Take all the time you need to review our proposals. We'll be here, ready to discuss any questions or concerns you have." As the aliens left the conference room, Miller heard one of them say to another, "Perhaps lesser species is incorrect term." She allowed herself a small smile. It wasn't an agreement yet, but it was definitely a start. Word spread quickly through the alien fleet about the strange humans and their unusual ways. More alien ships arrived daily, not to fight, but to watch. Their curved vessels hung in space around Jupiter, like curious birds, their crews sending constant messages back to their homeworlds about what they were seeing. Inside the observation room of his flagship, Commander Bluestone watched another negotiation session through the video feed. He stood with his second-in-command, Red Crystal, as they studied the humans' behavior. "Look at them," Red Crystal said, gesturing with one of his 4 arms. "They bring more charts, more proposals. No weapons at all. In my 40 cycles of space travel, I have never seen anything like this." Bluestone nodded slowly. "Central Command has sent 16 messages asking if we are sure the humans are not hiding their real strength. They cannot believe a species would choose talks over combat when they are clearly weaker." On the screen, Ambassador Miller was explaining a new proposal about sharing weather prediction data around Jupiter. The human woman seemed completely comfortable sitting next to aliens twice her size. "Commander," Red Crystal said quietly, "some of our younger crew members have been asking questions." "What kind of questions?" "About why we always take resources by force. They wonder if perhaps the humans' way might sometimes be better." Red Crystal shifted uncomfortably. 3 of them asked permission to study human diplomatic methods. Bluestone turned all 4 of his eyes toward his second-in-command. "And what did you tell them?" I gave them permission. Was that wrong?" Before Bluestone could answer, the door chimed. A young crew member named Swiftwind entered and saluted with all 4 arms. "Commander, we have received a priority message from the High Council themselves." Bluestone activated the message screen. The aged face of High Council leader Ancient Star appeared, looking concerned. "Commander, your reports about the humans are causing great disruption. Half the Council believes they must be secretly powerful beyond measure to act so calmly. The other half thinks they are trying to trick us. What is your assessment?" Bluestone chose his words carefully. "Honored leader, after 2 weeks of observation, I believe neither is true. The humans simply think differently than we do. They believe working together is better than fighting." "Impossible," Ancient Star declared. "No species rises to the stars thinking that way." And yet, Bluestone replied, "They have. Their history shows countless examples of former enemies becoming trading partners. They call it diplomacy and teach it to their young." The High Council leader was silent for a long moment. "This is most disturbing. If their ideas spread..." He paused. "More observers are coming. The Science Council wants to study them. The War Council wants to watch their tactics. The Trade Council, they actually want to try some of these human negotiations themselves." "Should we stop the talks?" Bluestone asked. "No," Ancient Star said firmly. "Continue watching. Continue learning. But be careful. Ideas can be more dangerous than weapons." After the message ended, Bluestone returned to watching the negotiations. Ambassador Miller was now showing detailed plans for a joint space station near Jupiter's moon Europa. "Commander," Swiftwind said hesitantly, "is it true the humans have special schools just for learning how to talk to other groups?" "Yes, they call them diplomatic academies." Could I perhaps learn about these?" Bluestone looked at the young crew member, then at the humans on the screen. Something was changing in his people, all because these strange humans refused to follow the normal rules of space. "Yes," he said finally. "Watch and learn. But remember, if the humans are right about working together being stronger than fighting alone, then everything our society believes about power might be wrong." Swiftwind nodded eagerly and turned to watch the negotiations with shining eyes. Behind him, Bluestone and Red Crystal exchanged worried looks. The humans hadn't fired a single shot, but they were changing the alien society in ways that no amount of weapons ever could. Ambassador Miller stood before the gathered alien representatives in the largest meeting room of the International Space Station. After 3 weeks of talks, it was time to present humanity's boldest proposal yet. The room was packed, not just with the original negotiating team, but with dozens of alien observers who had come to watch these strange human diplomatic methods. Today, Miller said, standing beside her holographic display, we propose something that has never been done before in your society. We call it the Jupiter Cooperative Mining Initiative. The room filled with the soft hum of translation devices. At his seat, Commander Bluestone leaned forward, all four eyes focused intently on the presentation. Instead of fighting over Jupiter's resources, Miller continued, we suggest creating a joint operation. Your advanced mining technology combined with our experience in gas giant operations. Shared work, shared profits, shared success. The hologram showed a detailed plan. Huge mining platforms bearing both human and alien markings, ships working together in Jupiter's storms, and processing stations built with technology from both species. One of the alien observers, a tall female named Quickthought, raised her hand. This is not conquest. This is not submission. What is this? Miller smiled. We call it partnership. Look at these numbers. She changed the display to show profit projections. Working separately, each of our species would gain these resources. She pointed to 2 columns. But working together, using both our strengths. She revealed a 3rd column, much larger than the other 2 combined. The aliens began talking among themselves, their voices rising in excitement and confusion. One of them, a young diplomat named Clear Sky, stood up. I have studied human history, Clear Sky announced. They do this thing called business deals where everyone gains more by working together. It is like hunting in packs, but with minds instead of teeth. Bluestone nodded slowly. Your species truly believes we can work together, even though we came here to take everything. The past doesn't matter, Miller replied. What matters is what we choose to do now. Humanity has a long history of turning potential enemies into friends through trade and cooperation. An older alien in the back spoke up. But how can we trust? What stops either side from taking everything once defenses are down? Miller clicked to the next slide. That's why we've designed a system of mutual oversight. Each mining platform will have both human and alien crews. All technology will be shared equally. Think of it like this. We'll be so busy making money together that fighting would only hurt both sides. The room grew quiet as the aliens considered this idea. Then Swiftwind, who had been studying human diplomatic methods, raised all 4 arms in excitement. It is brilliant, he exclaimed. Like when human countries stopped fighting over rivers and instead built dams together. Both sides got more water and power than they would have fighting. More aliens began nodding, their earlier confusion turning to interest. Even the older, more skeptical observers were now studying the profit projections with new eyes. Commander Bluestone stood up. Ambassador Miller, my species has always believed that power comes from taking what you want. But perhaps there is power in working together too. We will need time to discuss this with our leadership, but speaking personally, I find your proposal intriguing. Miller nodded graciously. Take all the time you need. This decision will shape the future of both our species. It should not be made lightly. As the aliens filed out of the room, still talking excitedly among themselves, Miller's assistant leaned over to her. They're actually considering it. Your crazy plan might work. It's not crazy, Miller replied, watching the aliens leave. It's human. We've been turning enemies into trading partners for thousands of years. These aliens just never imagined there could be a better way than fighting. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is show someone a new path forward. The warning alarms woke Captain Walker at 3 a.m. Earth time. He rushed to the bridge of the Peacekeeper, still pulling on his uniform jacket. Report, he commanded. Lieutenant Green looked up from his station, his face pale. Sir, 3 alien warships just broke away from the main fleet. They're heading toward our Mars colony. No warning, no communication. Walker dropped into his command chair, quickly reading the sensor data. The 3 ships belonged to War Master, one of the most aggressive alien leaders who had openly opposed the peace talks. This was exactly what they'd feared might happen. Sir, Green said, Commander Bluestone is calling us. The alien commander's image appeared on the main screen. All four of his eyes showed clear distress. Captain Walker, War Master, acts without authority. He claims humans must be forced to show their true nature. He believes you hide your real strength. How many colonists are on Mars right now? Walker asked his crew. 412, sir. Mostly scientists and miners. Walker nodded, then turned back to Bluestone. Commander, I need you to watch what happens next very carefully. This is how humans handle those who break the peace. He pressed his command console. All ships, this is Captain Walker. Defensive pattern Delta. No aggressive actions unless directly fired upon. I repeat, defensive actions only. 5 Earth ships moved to protect the Mars colony, taking positions that would block the alien warships but not threaten them. At the same time, Walker opened a channel to the approaching aliens. War Master, this is Captain Walker of Earth Defense. You are approaching a peaceful scientific colony. We request immediate diplomatic communication. The response came quickly. No more talks. Show us your real weapons. Fight with honor. Walker smiled grimly. The highest honor is protecting life without taking it. We will not fire first, but we will defend our people. However, our diplomatic channels remain open. In space around Mars, the 3 alien warships faced off against the 5 smaller Earth vessels. The aliens had enough firepower to destroy both the Earth ships and the colony, but they would have to fire the first shot. Sir, Green reported, Ambassador Miller is calling from the space station. Put her through, Walker ordered. Miller's face appeared on a side screen. Captain, most of the alien fleet is in an uproar, she reported. The younger ones are protesting War Master's actions. They're calling it a violation of diplomatic honor. They're using our words, our concepts. On the main screen, Bluestone was issuing orders to his own ships. All vessels, maintain position. Do not assist War Master. This is his choice, his shame. The tense standoff continued for 20 minutes. War Master's ships moved closer, weapons charged, but the Earth vessels didn't react with anything but defensive positioning. Finally, a new voice came over the communication channel. It was Swiftwind, who had been studying human diplomacy. He was on one of War Master's ships. War Master, the young alien said, I cannot follow orders to attack. The humans offer us partnership, yet we threaten their people. This is not strength. This is fear of change. Other voices joined in. First a few, then dozens. Young alien crew members refusing to attack, choosing humanity's path of diplomacy over their traditional aggression. After 10 more tense minutes, War Master ships powered down their weapons and turned away from Mars. The crisis had passed without a single shot fired. Captain Walker, Bluestone said, his voice filled with something like awe. Your people's strange ways have infected our young ones. They speak of honor in restraint, of strength in peace. How do you feel about this? Walker smiled. Commander, teaching others to choose peace over war isn't infection. It's progress. Now, shall we return to those partnership negotiations? As the ships moved back to their original positions, Walker could hear his crew quietly celebrating. Humanity had just won its greatest victory, not through superior firepower, but through the power of an idea. That talking was better than fighting. 1 month after the Mars incident, the alien fleet looked very different. The warships had been joined by research vessels, trading ships, and even a few civilian craft. The aliens had begun painting their ships with new symbols. Half of them now carried both their traditional markings and the new Partnership Initiative emblem. In the main conference room of his flagship, Commander Bluestone faced a difficult meeting. More than 50 young officers, led by Swiftwind, had requested permission to begin formal diplomatic training with the humans. You understand what you're asking. Bluestone looked at each of them. For 10,000 years, our society has followed the old ways. Take what you can, submit to those stronger, dominate those weaker. Swift Wind stepped forward. Commander, watching humans showed us something important. They are not weak because they choose to talk. They are strong because they can turn enemies into friends. Another young officer named Morning Light spoke up. I studied their history. Humans fought many wars among themselves. But each time, they found ways to make peace and become stronger together. Why can't we learn to do the same? Bluestone activated the room's main screen, showing the latest message from the High Council. The Council is divided. Half of them want to stop all contact with humans, saying their ideas are too dangerous. The other half, they want to learn more. And what do you think, Commander? Swift Wind asked. Bluestone was quiet for a moment. I think that in all our years of space travel, we have made only subjects or enemies. But humans make allies, partners. Their way is different, yes, but maybe different is what we need. The door chimed, and Ambassador Miller entered with her team. The young aliens straightened up, trying to match the diplomatic posture they'd been studying. Commander, Miller said, we've received word that your Science Council wants to establish a permanent diplomatic school on Europa. They're calling it the Institute of Cooperative Studies. Bluestone nodded. Yes, our youngest generation. He gestured to the officers around him. They hunger for new ways. Old warriors like War Master call it weakness, but I have seen the strength in your methods. Miller smiled. Speaking of War Master, I heard he requested access to our historical archives, particularly our records of enemies who became trading partners. A ripple of surprised murmurs went through the room. War Master, the one who had tried to force a fight, was now studying peace. The power of an idea, Swift Wind said, using a human phrase he'd learned. It can change everything. Bluestone turned to address both his officers and the human delegation. For 10,000 years, we thought power meant taking what we wanted. Humans showed us that real power is making others want to work with you. This is why I have approved all requests for diplomatic training. The young aliens broke into excited chatter, their translator devices struggling to keep up with their rapid speech. Commander, Miller said, we've prepared training programs, cultural exchange initiatives, and joint research projects. Are you sure your society is ready for such big changes? Bluestone looked at his excited young officers, then back at Miller. Ready? No, change is never easy. But we are willing to learn. And from what I understand of human history, sometimes that is enough. As the humans and aliens began discussing training schedules, Bluestone watched with a mix of worry and hope. His society was changing, transforming into something new. And it had all started because humans simply refused to follow the old rules of power. 1 year after the first alien ships appeared near Jupiter, the space around Earth's solar system had become the busiest trading hub in this part of the galaxy. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved back and forth between planets, carrying not just resources, but ideas. Captain Walker stood on the observation deck of the new International Peace Station, watching the traffic flow. Next to him, Ambassador Miller was showing a group of new alien visitors around the facility. As you can see, Miller said to the group of tall, green-skinned aliens who had arrived that morning, we have ships from 12 different species working together here now. One of the green aliens raised a hand. We heard stories about this place. They say humans turned enemies into friends without firing a single shot. How is this possible? Commander Bluestone, who now served as the head of the new Galactic Cooperation Council, stepped forward to answer. When we first arrived here, we thought humans were weak because they wanted to talk instead of fight. We were wrong. Let me show you why. He led the group to a large window overlooking Jupiter. Massive mining platforms floated in space, where human and alien crews worked side by side. The platforms extracted more resources in 1 day than either species could have gathered alone in a month. Look there, Bluestone pointed. Humans taught us that working together makes everyone richer than fighting. It seems so simple now, but our people needed humans to show us this truth. Swift Wind, Now a full diplomatic teacher brought up some numbers on a nearby screen. In 1 year of cooperation, we have all gained more wealth than in 10 years of taking resources by force. The humans call this a win-win situation. The green aliens watched in amazement as ships from former enemy species flew past each other peacefully, their crews exchanging friendly greetings over open channels. But surely there are still conflicts, one of them asked. Of course, Miller replied. But now we have better ways to solve them. Watch this. She showed them a recording of the latest diplomatic training session, where young aliens from 20 different species practiced solving problems through negotiation instead of violence. My own grandson is in that class, Commander Bluestone said proudly. He will never know a galaxy where the only choices were to fight or submit. Humans gave us a better way. Walker smiled as he remembered the tense first meeting a year ago. Who would have thought that our greatest weapon would be our ability to make friends? Just then, an alert sounded. A new ship was approaching, one that hadn't been seen before. It was huge, with strange markings that no one recognized. Unknown vessel approaching. The station's computer announced. Species identification. Negative. No match in database. The green aliens looked worried, but Miller and Bluestone exchanged calm glances. Walker opened a communication channel. Unknown vessel, this is Peace Station 1. We welcome peaceful contact and invite you to diplomatic discussions. There was a long pause. Then a deep, rumbling voice responded. We heard there was a place where different species work together instead of fighting. We came to learn. Is this true? Miller stepped forward. Yes, it's true. Would you like to dock and talk about it? Talk. The voice seemed surprised. Just talk. That's how it always starts, Bluestone said into the channel. I should know. We came here as conquerors, and humans turned us into partners. Now we help others learn the same lesson. As the huge ship moved carefully toward the docking bay, Walker looked at the mixture of species around him. Humans, blue-skinned aliens, green-skinned visitors, and others, all working together. You know what's funny? He said to Miller. We spent centuries wondering if we were alone in the universe. Turns out what the galaxy really needed wasn't our technology or our resources. It needed our diplomats. Miller nodded, watching the new ship dock. Another chance to show that cooperation beat conflict. Another day of changing the galaxy, one conversation at a time.